Hello, Scrappy Peeps. Welcome to the April A Cherry on Top YouTube hop, where the theme is flowers. As you can see, I created my own flowers to coordinate with some honeybee stamps as well as some PinkFresh Studio. So I am using these Whimsical Spring Flowers dies and some 6x6 pattern paper that's also from Honeybee. It's called the Modern Spring 6x6 paper pack, as well as some of these 6x6 papers from the Life Right Now collection from PinkFresh Studio. So I'm going to spare you the agony of watching me roll them all through, but I'm going to use multiple papers in multiple colors to get various layers for the flowers. And again, I'm mixing the two collections so that I get some depth and some variety. What I really like about these honeybee dies is that they also, not only do they provide layers, and you could see from the initial photo that they give you the layers, and I try, and when I put them back on the bagnet, put the layers together, so the center for each of the flowers. There is also some greenery that comes with it, which is super awesome. But I also like that each of the dies has an embossed piece. So I am going to use my mermaid markers, and I'm just going to lightly brush some color into that so that you could get that shadow texture in the flower, which adds just a little bit more dimension to that. So I will do that for all of the larger flowers. It was too hard for me to see some of the smaller flowers, though I do try. And then I'm going to use a coordinating color from my Distress Oxides, and I'm just going to brush around the edges, glue in the center adhesive, or glue in the center of the flower using some adhesive, and then I'm just going to kind of crunch and crush and crinkle the edges to raise them up a little bit. Now that will likely flatten when it's in the album, but you get the idea of it, and it won't flatten too much because there's actually more dimension. So you see me snap and voila, there's all of the flowers. So that process that I showed you for the one flower, I literally repeated for every single other flower, and honestly, you don't need to watch me do that. It makes my 10-minute video, I want to say it probably adds an extra 10 minutes to it, especially if I didn't speed it up. So now I am going to, again, use the combination of those same two collections, or the pattern paper, I should say. And really, it's just that blue piece that is behind Luna. Luna is the cat, and the rest of it is from PinkFresh. So I really liked these diamonds, and my thought was that I would create a row of these diamonds to accompany the flowers, just to add a little bit of green to the color palette that I have here. I need a darker color. This photo is actually, I've edited it, and she is not that dark, and I've edited it with too much shadow to it. But I really didn't want to go and reprint it, partly because I couldn't quite remember where I had saved it to. So I want to have something darker, like that dark green that's in those tickets that's going across the page there. In retrospect, I wish I hadn't cut the tickets apart and that I had left that row, and that row was going across the page, and it would almost create an L to my flowers and or my diamonds, but such was not the case. So in order to get maximal use of the diamonds, if I had just left the fully green border diamonds, I was going to get these little pieces, and so that are smaller diamonds. So I decided to just cut out the remaining green, so that I would have these smaller diamonds and I could intersperse large, small, large, small. So there is Miss Luna, and I like the way that the blue actually pops out the gray in her and pops out the photo. And you can see I have a full 12 by 12 piece of pattern paper behind that. This is rare for me to do. I usually work directly on a piece of white cardstock, but I thought the pattern was subtle enough that it would look pretty cool. However, what ends up happening is between the round of the flowers, the diamond of the diamonds and the square, and then the square pattern with the diamond pattern within it in that background pattern paper, it just became way too much. There was too much going on, there was too much busy, and there was really nowhere to focus. And that's part of why I wish I had left those green tickets as a solid row, because it was a grounding element. So here I'm going to shuffle these flowers. I'm going to do the Suzanna flower shuffle instead of the Suzanna title shuffle. And I'm going to shuffle these flowers around and the diamonds until I find something that works for me. And I think where I get hung up, in fact, I don't think, I know where I get hung up is because that background paper is just way too busy and there's just way too much going on. And so I do settle with these diamonds being on the left-hand side, which I really like, but I definitely have to get rid of some of the patterning. And so this is where I decide, all right, I'm going to go back to my 12 by 12 white cardstock and just cut a strip of this, and that will work better. So I will still get my diamonds, I will still get my flowers, and I will still get this pattern paper in there. And then when I look at the back side, I was like, oh, here's the bright color that I really need to pop to kind of tone down that dark contrast of the photo. But I decide that I really like the lighter better. It just, again, had I used all of those bright colors and stripes, it would have been too bright. So I can't say that I love this layout. It's not one of my classics. It's very busy, and I do like it, but I'm not sure. Yeah, it's just different. It's not my usual. It's not my typical. So I'm going to just use my tape runner, dot runner, to adhere these flowers down. And you can see I'm just putting the adhesive in the center of the flowers so that I'm able to maintain the dimension off the page. If I put adhesive on the whole back of the flower, then that's going to take away what I've ruffled up and made the dimension of. And I'm just trying to intersperse so there's a fair amount of blue and yellow and that salmony peachy pinky color. Now I have these diamonds and I'm like, well, okay, so I've solved the flower situation. I've solved the competitive pattern problem. Now how am I going to incorporate these diamonds into it? And I didn't have to, but I really liked the way that the pattern play kind of played off of each other. I liked this little yellow phrase that says, this is what it's all about. And I thought that that pulled a little bit more yellow into the page because there really isn't a lot of yellow other than those really bright flowers, and it needed something else for that contrast. So now I'm going to put the diamonds on the left-hand side there, and I like that. And even though the layout is very left-hand dominant, there's enough over there, and there's going to be enough of a really dark green from those tickets on the right-hand side that's going to provide some balance to that. So I'm going to adhere these down, and I did draw a pencil line so that I could line them up because I am type A, highlighted, bolded, and underlined. And I want to stitch them down just with a white thread. So I will stitch exactly down the center where that pencil line is. And then that way I can also fold up the edges of those diamonds and again add to the dimension that is on that page on the left-hand side there. So I will head off to my sewing machine in a minute. It is not on my scrap table, and there you can see I've sewn that down. So here are the tickets, and I have off camera cut up some of the green that is from the, I want to say this is from the Honeybee Stamps. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that is from the Honeybee Stamps paper pad. And so I just thought with that green, I don't really have the green other than those tickets elsewhere. And so I'm going to incorporate some of that to just add, it breaks up the flow of the flowers and makes it a more continuous flow. When it was just the flowers, your eye just kind of fell down the page. Now with that green foliage, you kind of, your eye meanders down, really down the green elements to the page. So there is the foundation of the page. You can see how that darker green really needs offsetting. Even though the darker green provides contrast to Luna's the cat, it still needs something else that's dark in order to really, really grab your attention. So I'm going to go with this red speech phrase that says emotional support, and then you can put in the checkbox either person or animal. We got these cats last year. I think they'll almost in July. They will have been with us a year. And so they don't know life without somebody at home. And so they have definitely been our focus of our attention. There's two of them. If you don't know, they're sisters. So Jasmine is this gray cat, and then we have a calico tabby. So this is a hop for YouTube, for a cherry on top YouTube hop. So please leave a comment down below to be eligible for a prize. Only those who comment are eligible. If you don't subscribe, I would love to have you join me here at my channel. Thanks for stopping in today. I hope you're doing well. Come back again soon. Take care.